yet again another disappointing end to their season for their standards as they failed to reach the Super Bowl, a goal they've been trying to accomplish these last few years or so. Now, is this the year the Ravens finally have the ability to make the Super Bowl? I think their team got better in this offseason, and I think they have the talent to do so. It's just a matter of getting it done in the playoffs. This is welcome back to Couch Casual, and today we're going to be previewing the Baltimore Ravens for the 2025 season. Let's get into the preview. So first, looking at the additions and losses for the Ravens. Not many. I mean, when you've been as good of a team and you have as much talent as the Ravens do, there's not a need to really make many adjustments. It's just about getting it done in the playoffs. So, two of their additions come on offense with D-Hop and LeJohntay Wester. Now, LeJohntay Wester, don't know how much he's going to play here, but he is one of the 3 backup receivers. I think he's their backup slot right now. And that could result in him getting a decent amount of playing time. I also think he'll get a lot of special teams playing time. We did see him get a punt return touchdown in the preseason on Thursday. So I think we can see a lot more of that. And I do think that's how he's going to get himself involved early on, as it's a relatively crowded receiver room. But I wanted to put him on there because he is that backup slot. And I do think he'll find him getting some opportunities on offense as well. And again, the other receiver they bring in is DeAndre Hopkins. Didn't have, obviously, older side and didn't have the best year with Tennessee, but I think you can just blame that on the best beginning of the year in Tennessee. I think you just blame that on the whole team itself, because once he got to Kansas City and once he got on a stable team and had a good quarterback, he was actually pretty good last year for Kansas City at the back half of the year once he got traded there. And I think with a full year, full offseason on, once again, another good team, good offense, I think Diop can have himself a pretty good year as that third receiving option to second receiving option on the Raven. I think it was a quality pickup, especially when you lose Nelson Aguilar, who honestly in the last 2 years with Baltimore, he was pretty decent after not having the greatest start to his career, I believe, on Philly. But again, I think DeAndre Hopkins is an upgrade over Nelson Aguilar, so I think that was a good pickup. And also adding LeJohntay Wester, I think those two are clear upgrades over Nelson Aguilar as a whole. And then they bring in 2 secondary players. They bring in Jair Alexander from the Packers and Malachi Starks, their first-round pick from Georgia. I really like the Malachi Starks draft pick. I'm very high on Starks, not only as a player, but like with the versatility and athleticism he has. But the one thing I really like about the Malachi Starks pick is how I think he'll fit alongside Kyle Hamilton, because Kyle Hamilton is very suited. His strength is playing close to the line of scrimmage. That big frame he has, he can play coverage, he can play deep because he's really good. But his strong suit is playing closer to the line of scrimmage, closer to the action. And I think bringing a guy like Malachi Starks, who is that more deep coverage, free safety type of player, them two can fit alongside each other perfectly. I think that's just going to help Malachi Starks' development and have himself a good rookie year. And also adding talent in the secondary like Jair Alexander, who they brought in, is also going to help. Now, again, Alexander has, some health issues here and there, but when healthy, he is still one of the better corners in the league. So if you can get a healthy Jair Alexander alongside all the secondary talent they have, pairing alongside Malachi Starks, a secondary that struggled at the beginning of the season last year, picked it up towards the end of the year, I think will continue that momentum and have an even better year throughout the whole year this season. And then some of the guys they lost, first Marcus Williams, as they replaced him with Malachi Starks. Honestly, Marcus Williams was not the best last year, and I think Malachi Starks, even as a rookie, is an upgrade over Marcus Williams. And then Brandon Stevens, while not the best in coverage, he actually is pretty good in the run game. But again, a healthy Jair Alexander is an upgrade over Brandon Stevens. And maybe even Jair Alexander for 10 games is an upgrade over Brandon Stevens for 17 games. So, once again, just like with receiver position in that corner and safety position, I do think they upgraded. 2 other guys, they lose Michael Pierce to retirement. Now, Pierce didn't play much last year, and he has, slowly regressing. And again, he retired. But I put him on here because for so long he's been a good player for the Ravens, and now they lose him. But again, I think they have the talent to fill his loss, as they kind of dealt with that last year anyway. And then the last notable player that played a lot for them last year that they lost this offseason is Patrick McCarry, guard. He was just okay last year. He was penalized a lot. I think he was one of the most penalized guards in football last year. So, again, as just a player, he was okay last year, but those penalties can be big. And so I don't think it's that big of a loss. So, overall, I think they lose 5 expendable pieces and bring in 4 pretty good players. So I think it was a very good offseason for the Ravens, despite the minimal moves they made. Because again, they don't need to make many changes. They just need to get it done in the playoffs. Looking at their offense, their O-line last year was 4th in sacks allowed, 4th fewest sacks allowed. So you're really happy with your O-line. Linderbaum, one of the best centers in the league. Stanley was very good last year. Rosengard had himself a respectable rookie year, and you hope he can build on that. Daniel Fillet, who they drafted in 2022 out of the 4th, he was decent last year. Now, their left guard is to be determined between Voorhees, Ben Cleveland, Emory Jones. I think it's kind of a competition still at this point because we're still early August as I'm recording this. But outside of that, you're set at left tackle, you're set at center, you like what you saw to your right tackle and your right guard. And again, they were 4th in fewest sacks allowed last year, and they're just, I think, replacing McCarry with probably whoever they play at left guard, I think. So if they were good last year, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a good O-line this year. At quarterback, again, there's no questions to be made at quarterback. You have Lamar Jackson. He helped lead you to the 3rd best offense last year scoring-wise. He was an MVP candidate. I personally think he should have won MVP. I think there was a little bit of voter fatigue in why he didn't win the MVP. That's just my opinion. But 4,000 yards, 40 passing touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. And I'm pretty sure if you watched a lot of his interceptions, they weren't even his fault. So it was another incredible year for Lamar, better than his most recent MVP season. So and also, obviously, he added to the run game as well with almost 1,000 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. I think he had 5,000 total yards. So another great season for Lamar. No questions there. And Cooper Rush is a fine backup too. At running back, another guy that no questions needed. You have Derrick Henry. You brought him in. Some may say, when is he going to regress? Well, it's not looking like it's anytime soon. Another great season for Derrick Henry. 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns, averaged almost 6 yards a carry, despite getting the ball so much and having so much attention on. I guess Lamar kind of takes that attention away from you a little bit, but another great year for Derrick Henry. Justice Hill is a very good quality backup, had himself 200 yards, a touchdown, 5 a carry also. Justice Hill is a very good receiving option. That's why I think he's a good fit with Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry, not known for his receiving ability, but Justice Hill is a very good receiving back. And another guy I want to talk about, Keaton Mitchell. Now, in his rookie year, Keaton Mitchell had like 8 yards a carry and then was hurt for, I think, either the entirety of last year or most of last year. And they now get him back as their 3rd best running back. And you also got Patrick Ricard, one of the better fullbacks in the league. At tight end, yes, Mark Andrews has been, obviously had the drop against the Bills and has had a slight down year last year. But he still had 600-plus yards. He still had 11 touchdowns. It was still a good year for Mark Andrews. And him and Isaiah Likely, who also had himself a pretty solid year while Mark Andrews was hurt or struggling, especially that first game, I think, against the Chiefs. He had a very good game. We're like, is Isaiah Likely the new tight end 1? And then it was looking like that at the beginning of the year. Then Mark Andrews kind of picked it up eventually. But it's one of the better tight end duos in the league. Even Charlie Kohler is not a bad 3rd tight end. They have a lot of depth. You got Charlie Kohler as your 3rd best tight end, isn't awful. Keaton Mitchell is your 3rd best running back, very good. And then at the receiver position, you know what you're going to get out of Zay Flowers. 1,000-yard season last year, 4 touchdowns. Rashad Bateman had 9 touchdowns, almost 800 yards. They paid him a lot of money this offseason. I don't know about a lot of money, but they extended him this offseason. They bring in D-Hop, who you saw once he was on a competent offense with a good quarterback. When he got to Kansas City, he was very good. That's a good 3-man receiver room right there. And then the 2 guys, Devontae Walker and Tylan Wallace, Tylan Wallace had that crazy touchdown against the Bengals, I'm pretty sure. And Devontae Walker, I think, coming from North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina. They drafted him out of the 4th round last year. Didn't play too much, but he got a touchdown, so maybe they can get him a little more involved. But I like the 3 starters they have in D-Hop, Bateman, and Flowers. And then I like the 3 young guys they have backing them up in LeJounte Wester, Tylan Wallace, and Devontae Walker. Again, this offense was 3rd in scoring last year. I don't think it's going to be much different. It's going to be a very good offense again. Similar to the defense. Now, the defense, while not as good as the offense last year, was still 9th in scoring. Again, at the beginning, they were not really good, especially like their secondary. But towards the end of the year, the numbers that their secondary was putting up were significantly better. And I think they just added to the talent in that secondary overall. Again, you have Malachi Stark, so I think fits alongside Kyle Hamilton perfectly. And of course, Kyle Hamilton is one of the better safeties in football, if not the best safety in football. One of the more versatile safeties in the league. All pro the last 2 seasons, 9th in DPOY last year, had a career high in tackles. He's elite in coverage. He's elite in run defense. He can literally play all over the field, and he's 6'4". Your corners. You got Jair Alexander, again, when healthy, one of the better corners. Marlon Humphrey is one of the better nickel corners in the league. Nate Wiggins had a very good rookie year. Some people are even having him as a top 10 corner in the league after his rookie year. Very good season for him. I still believe Chidobe Awuzie, who is one of their 2 backup corners, can still be a decent corner in this league. A guy, Robert Longerbeam, who they took in the 6th round out of Rutgers, in his college career had 5 interceptions and 5 forced fumbles. And they still have TJ Tampa, who they took in the 4th from Iowa State. And they have another guy, Sonosi Kane, who they took out of the 7th from Purdue last year. Those guys could get some more reps. I doubt Sonosi with, Hamilton and Starks. But, again, a secondary that kind of struggled at the beginning of the year, got better as the year went on, and in the offseason, also got better. Now, one thing that was consistent was their front 7. First, their linebackers. You obviously got Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers in the league, all-pro first team last 2 years, 150 tackles last 2 years, very secure tackler. He's made the all-pro team in his last 5 years. You know how good Roquan Smith is. You got Trenton Simpson alongside him, who he had an all right year last year in his first year as a starter. He didn't start his rookie year, but he started his second year. And in that year, he was pretty decent, and he showed a lot of upside potential, and he should get a lot better in year 2 as a starter, I think. A guy like Teddy Buchanan, who they took out of Cal in the 4th, good size, athleticism, has a lot of coverage upside. I like him potentially to get some reps this year. And then their D-line or pass rushers, whatever, it's a very good unit too. You got Kyle Van Noy, who he's been okay in his career, but had a late breakout 2 years with Baltimore with 21.5 sacks over his last 2 years in his last 2 years with Baltimore. Also made a Pro Bowl last year. He's very good. You have Madubuike, who's one of the better interior D linemen in the league. Very good pass rusher. A little bit of a down year last year compared to his 2023 season, but still very good, still very young, only 27 years old. You have another interior guy, Travis Jones, who I really like. Didn't play a ton, only had 42 tackles last year, but did not miss a single one, and is only 25 years old. And then another one of your interior guys, Broderick Washington. He's just okay. Honestly, he's whatever. But you have Ayanus Pebbles, who you took out of 6th from Virginia Tech. And then Tavius Robinson, who in less than 50% of snaps last year had 3.5 sacks as a second-year player. And I like him. You also got Odafe Owe, who was an all-around young edge rusher, 10 sacks last year, broke out when because he hasn't really played a ton in his career so far, but when he has gotten opportunity, he's really showed it, and he's now a projected starter. So I really think he's gonna have a good year. But overall, it's just a very good D line, very good front seven, very good defense. They were top 10 defense last year. I expect nothing less. And another guy, Mike Green, who they took out of the second round, who was really good at Marshall. And I think he can get some burn this season too, and also get some sacks on the board as well. So it should be another great year for this Ravens defense, along with their offense. Quickly looking at their special teams, Jordan Stout's a decent punter. They obviously no longer have Justin Tucker. Instead, they have Tyler Loop, their 6th-round rookie from Arizona. Apparently, from what I've heard from camp, is he's had a great training camp so far for the Ravens. He also, I think, had a 50-yarder in the preseason. So hopefully he can have a good rookie year for them. And then on the return game, you got LeJonte Wester, who, again, had that punt return touchdown. And Justice Hill can also be a decent return man as well. Now, before we get into the record prediction, their floor, their ceiling, make sure to leave a like if you're enjoying this video, and subscribe if you're new. Helps out the channel. Now, going into the Baltimore Ravens schedule, they have the 9th hardest schedule going into this year. Obviously, they have to play their own division, which is really good. They have to play the NFC North as well. I think their floor obviously is really high. They're a very good team. I don't see them losing a ton of games, even if they have some injuries. They just have such a good team, right? I think bare minimum they can get 3 division wins. Regardless of who it is, I think they can get 3 division wins, bare minimum. I mean, they're the best team in their division. Then I think they can beat the Bears. I think they could beat the Patriots. I think they can beat the Jets. And that puts them at about 6 games. And maybe they can get a game versus a team like the Vikings or the Jets or another division game. And I have their floor at 7-10. And again, that's just bare minimum. And I think their ceiling, I have it at 14 wins for the Ravens ceiling, which leaves their record at about 10 to 11 wins. I'm going to go with 11 wins for the Baltimore Ravens. Again, it's just such a hard schedule, such a tough division. And I think the whole league as a whole is going to be very competitive this year. And I don't think there's going to be a team that gets like 14, 15 wins. But again, the Ravens are that talented that they can get to 14 wins. So once again, there's honestly not too much to talk about when it comes to these really good teams. We know what we're going to get from the Ravens. We know they're going to be very good. We know they have a lot of talent. It's just with them, it's the question of can they get it done in January, and can they get to that game in February and win it? That's basically all they're doing at this point. They're just playing the regular season just to get to the playoffs to try and win the Super Bowl. I do think this is their best chance because I think they were close last year. They were a catch away from getting to the AFC Championship game, and I think they got more talented. So let me know in the comment section how you think the Ravens will do. Do you think this is the year they can finally get to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it? And again, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.